Good afternoon. What I'm going to do today is talk to you a little bit about Microsoft Excel. Okay. Since we have to do a 10-minute presentation, I really can't get into a whole lot of details on Excel, although I have submitted a 38-minute version of an introduction to Excel. So for those of you that don't understand Excel very well and you'd like to learn a little bit more about it, perhaps that would be a good place to start. Since you are all teachers, I'm guessing that pretty well everyone knows how to use Excel and probably use Excel very well. Perhaps some of you use it much better than I do. So what I'm going to do though today is a simple way to have you enter test scores or assignment scores and have Excel turn those scores into letter grades. All right? How do I do that? Well, let me show you by doing. I call everything, my teaching strategy is hands-on. Hands-on implies that I'm going to demonstrate what I want to capture, and by doing so, I believe you learn better. You know, it's obviously, most of us anyway grew up learning things from reading. You learn theory this way, which is great. I teach programming classes, I teach database classes, I teach networking classes, and I teach introduction to computer classes. Most of these things, I believe, you learn much better with hands-on. As a matter of fact, you'd probably be hard-pressed to find one teacher anywhere in the US or Canada or most countries in the world that would teach something like Excel in a theory-based class, because you need to let the students learn what you're doing or learn what they're doing by doing what you're doing. So I'm going to now create an Excel file to allow this to happen. So I'm going to go to my search box down here. I hit my start menu and I'm going to type Excel. Okay. When I did so, Excel comes up as a choice and I click on it. It's Excel 2010. Okay, so I have Office 2010 Professional. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is make my font larger so that you guys can all see what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I'll make this font, make it about 20. All right, I'm just going to put a few little things in and I'll talk about it quickly as I do. So I'll say test scores. All right, and then I'll say exam 1, exam 2, and final exam, something to that effect, okay? And then over here I'm going to say letter grades. Okay? Now, you can wrap your text so that these things don't extend over 2 cells, but I don't need to worry about that because here's where I'm going to be putting in the actual test scores, okay? And here's where I'm going to put in the letter grades, or I can put the letter grades here. It doesn't really matter. But if I want to, I'll just show you in case, again, it's one of the things you might not know. If you want to wrap text in Excel, see, technically it looks like I'm in I5 and I6, but this is all in I5. If I come up here on the home row in the alignment group and click wrap text, then this will wrap to the best it can. Then you can adjust the settings to make it, let's say, 2 as opposed to the 1. But I'm going to undo that and just leave it the way it was. Okay? All right. So let's say, and I want actually to have a demonstration where I don't have just all A grades or all B grades. So I'm going to put for exam 1 as an example an 89. And for exam 2, I'll put a 70. And for the final exam, I'll put a 59. I know these are horrible grades, but that's what I'm going to put. All right. Now over here, I want to do a formula that will allow this 89 to be turned into a B. This 70 here turned into a C, and the 59 here to be turned into an F. And then after I do that, what I'll do is demonstrate by doing again, changing the 89 perhaps to a 90. And you'll see that immediately upon changing it to a 90, over here the B will turn to an A. If I immediately change the 70 to a 69, the C will turn to a D. And if I turn the 59 into a 60 or whatever other score, the answer over here will be based upon the new score. Okay? All right. So how do I do this? Well, there's an if function in Excel. And technically, it's going to be using what's called a nested if. But they don't really talk about it as being nested in Excel. But basically, it just means there's going to be 5 if statements associated with what I want to do. All right? So I'm going to do equal if. By the way, again, I know this is not an introduction to Excel class, but to start any formula in Excel, you do an equal sign. Okay? And the equal if lets you do conditions. So equal if, open parentheses. Now over here, I have the cell I6 has the number 89. So I'm going to click on I6. Now it looks like it's a 1-6. Actually, you know what? Because I don't want this to happen, I'm going to undo this. And I'm going to move these. Okay. I'm going to cut these out. Oh, I've got to get out of my function first, sorry. I'm going to cut these because I don't want you to not understand what I'm doing. See, now I'm in H6, so it'll show up better over here. So test scores are going to be here, and then the letter grades I'll do right here. All right? Okay, so equal if. Now I click on H6. So up here it looks better to you. You don't get confused between an I and a 1. So H6 greater equal 90. This is the condition. It's the logical test. What I'm saying is if H6, whatever value is in H6, if it happens to be greater than or equal to 90, then I put a comma. When you put a comma, then you're going to the next step in the argument list. There's a bunch of arguments depending on how you're going to do it. Typically, you have a value for if it's true, a separate value for if it's false. So when you put a comma, you go to the next value. You notice down here it now says value if true. So in other words, if it's true that it's greater than or equal to 90, what do I want to put? Well, I want to put a double quote, a double quote. The double quotes won't appear, but when you're putting in a letter, it's called a string. So you define it by putting the double quotes around it. Now, what if it's not greater than or equal to 90? Well, then I put the comma, and now you notice that it's bold under where it says value if false. And here, I can't predict that it's a B, a C, a D, or an F because I have no way of knowing. So if it's false, I start it again. I'm going to say if, okay, open parenthesis again, and click over here one more time. And now H6 greater equal to 80. And then, comma, if it is greater than or equal to 80, now I want a B, okay? If it's false, another if, and then again click over here, H6 greater equal to 70, comma, double quotes for a C, and double quotes. What if it's false? Well, yet again. Okay, so now I've got another if, click over here again. Now if it's greater than or equal to 60, comma, double quotes, D, double quotes, comma, if it's not that, then it's an F, but I'll put the thing anyway. If, again, click up here, H6, greater equal to 0 in this case, double quotes F. That's it, okay? So now, I have 1 open parenthesis, 2 open parentheses, 3 open parentheses, 4 open parentheses, 5 open parentheses, okay? That means I need to close each of them. So here I have 5 closing parentheses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I now enter, and you notice this one is now a B. What I'm going to do is set these up so that they're in the center, okay? And maybe make them bold, all right? So right there. So that's a B. Now, I can take the fill handle. Again, it's not an introduction to Excel class or a 10-minute lecture, but if you don't know the fill handle, when you're hovering over a given cell, you hover in the bottom right corner, and when your cursor turns to a black plus sign, a thin black plus sign, you drag it, okay? And what it's going to do is it's going to copy the formula using what we call relative cell referencing. So I drag it down twice, and now you'll see that this 70 turns to a C, the 59 turns to an F. Well, let's make this a 60. You see it's a D. Make it a 90. It's an A. Make this 70 a 69. It's a D. Make it an 89. It's a B. Make it a 99. It's 100. It's 100. It's an A. Okay. Make this one a 58. It's an F. Okay. So every one now will work based upon that. And that is how you will do, if those of you that are interested anyway, in creating things where you turn assignment test scores into letter grades. All right. Now let me see how I'm doing on time, and then perhaps I'll add a bit to this. We are at, where is my recording? 8 minutes and 29 seconds. So actually I don't have time to go further, so I'll just close by explaining where we're at. Okay, so let's talk about the formula now. What I'm going to do is copy it and put it into Word so you can see it better. So copy it, and I'm going to open up Word, and I'm going to Control V to paste that in, and then make it a little bit larger so you can kind of see it better. I'd like it on one row, but I'm not sure if one row you'll be able to see. No, you won't. So I'm going to make it, it's purposefully extending to 2 rows, okay? All right, but here's what it is. So equal. The equal sign in Excel starts a calculation, all right? You always have to start it with an equal sign. Now, the if signifies that you're putting a logical function, and this logical function involves conditions, okay? So when you have an equal if, then you need to have an open parenthesis, and everything to the right of the open parenthesis is called the arguments. Okay, there's an argument list. The first element in the argument list is the condition. So the first condition is, I was saying, is cell H6 greater than or equal to 90? Okay, that's the condition. There's 2 choices. It's either true or it's false. You signify those by putting in the comma, then you're at the next choice, which is what do you want to happen if it's true that H6 is greater than or equal to 90? Well, I wanted to put an A in, and I put a capital A. Obviously, you could make it small a, but it should be capitalized. And you put double quotes around it because it's a string. So then the next one is, well, what if it's not greater than or equal to 90? Well, then you put another comma, and after that comma, then you're to the next condition, which is, or sorry, technically it's now false. So what do you want to do if it's false? Well, you can't predict whether the score was 89 or 59 or 63 or 0. So you have to play out every condition for each letter grade. Okay, so the next low boundary is an 80. So if, open parenthesis number 2, H6 greater than equal to 80, that's the condition, condition 2, comma separates it, and then it's either true or false. If it's true, then you want a B, the letter B to appear. If it's not true, you put another comma, and again, you can't predict whether it's a C, D, F after this, so you have to do another condition again. So the third condition with the if, the logical condition this time, H6 greater than equal to 70. And if that is true, another comma, then you put what criteria for true, and that's, I want the letter C to appear. If it's not true, a comma, and then you do another if, because you have to cover for a D. So now, open parenthesis number 4, and then H6 greater equal, because remember this word wrapped. So greater than equal to 60, comma, so that's the condition. If it's true, put a D. You put double quotes again because the D is a string, so you need quotes. And then if it's not true, then it's false, so another comma, and then your last condition, because F ranges from 0 to 59. So here, if, open parenthesis, H6 greater than equal to 0, comma, it can only be true in this case, okay? Assuming anything was typed in it, then it would be F, okay? And then you close all 5 arguments that you had opened with the 5 closing parentheses. So that's what we learned today. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so I'm closer to the 10-minute threshold that I was asked to do. I won't ask for any questions, but if it was a real world, real class, I would ask for questions at this point. Thank you very much.